What's up again, guys? Brian here at 3TR. Welcome to another solid episode of my weekly Q&A show, Child People's Questions, episode 209. We had a fairly slow week, so sadly I was really kind of unable to upload really anything. However, I should have some more content coming up this following week. But going into this episode, we got a good number of questions, and I believe a couple of newbies, so that's a good thing. We'll jump right into the first few questions coming from Stentigo Scarpino, and you want to know, which is my favorite limit breaker? Final Fantasy-wise, I guess it's the Omi Slash. I mean, it's kind of the most, famous limit breaker you can think of, so I would pick that one. The next question is, have I played Earthbound? Nope, I've never actually heard of Earthbound. And the last question is, did 13.2 and Lightning's Return fix any of the issues with the original 13 game? No, if anything, they had even more problems and they were worse games, which is incredible because there was nothing left to break in 13. The game was virtually unplayable, so how you make something worse than that is a mystery to me. The next two questions come from Jensen 10 Uncle, welcome back, and you want to know, in their prime, who would win in a fight between Big Boss and Solid Snake? Well, Solid Snake would obviously win because Solid Snake, when he was younger, was trained by a superior version of Big Boss, a much more experienced. He may not be in his physical prime, but I would say that an older Big Boss would still be able to beat a prime Big Boss. So the fact that you're putting a prime Solid Snake against a prime Big Boss means that the prime Solid Snake, having been trained by a superior version of a prime Big Boss, means that Solid Snake would obviously win. And at that point, there's really nothing that Big Boss would know that Solid Snake probably wouldn't be already familiar with. So yeah, obviously Solid Snake would win. And your next question is, what was my favorite JRPG that isn't a Final Fantasy game? Oh, that's an easy one. It is Ni no Kuni Wrath of the White Witch. That game was without question the best RPG I'd played in about 10 years. I'm so looking forward to the sequel, and that's really all I have to say on the matter. Your next two questions come from Dr. Hino, and you want to know, if Final Fantasy 6 and 7 met, would they make for a great game or anime? I don't think they'd make for a great game or anime because there's just so much. There's so much history. There's just so much in both of those games that if you were to put them together, it would simply be too much. They are telling two different stories. They have two different set of characters. They have two different battle systems. They're so vastly different that it's best to keep them apart. And this kind of goes into your second question, that if I did think it was a good idea, would the final boss somewhat merge deem the realm, considering being created Sephiroth, or however you're saying this question? Mixing Sephiroth and Klefka? That is so insane. I mean, they're both insane characters, but mixing the two, and they both look like angels. I think that's just way overpowered. I mean, especially since I think that Klefka is definitely a lot more powerful than like super powered up Sephiroth. So there's that. The next two questions coming from the first newbie of the episode, welcome to the show. Your name is Matthew Vader, like your name, and you want to know, if I were given lightning powers, who would I want my master / trainer to be? Cole from Infamous 2 or Galen Merrick from Force Unleashed 1? Oh, definitely Cole McGrath, simply because his electrokinesis is a lot more creative. There's no doubt that Force Lightning is a very, very powerful offensive ability, but you can't really use it for a lot of different functions. However, with electrokinesis from Cole's point of view, he's just a lot more creative. There's so much more you can do with it than just throw bolts of lightning. There's different varieties of lightning bolts you can throw. You can manipulate certain objects. You can use it to, heal people. You can't do that with Force Lightning. So I would definitely go with Cole. And yet you can technically float with electricity from Cole. You can do that too. And next question is, if I could choose a storyline, which sounds more interesting? A story that involves 3 stormtroopers on the Death Star guarding the Death Star plans, or a squadron of rebel scouts checking out the Empire's doings on the battlefield? Number one, we're not even sure if the Death Star plans were on the Death Star themselves. They were probably kept somewhere else. But I think a squadron of rebels scouting out what the Empire is doing makes a little bit more sense, because I think it would tell the rebels that they can't really win a head-to-head competition or head-to-head battle with the Empire. They're always going to be outnumbered, and so they would have to focus on guerrilla tactics, and that's really what the rebels were dealing with during this galactic civil war at that time. As far as I know, they never actually openly attacked the Empire, apart from what they did in Return of the Jedi, But even at that point, that was a trap that the Empire had set up. They was like, we're going to leave the Death Star supposedly unguarded, and the Rebels were going to set an attack, and then they brought their entire fleet. And so, yeah, that's really how I feel about the matter. The next two questions come from JDS4696, and you want to know, am I going to play Far Cry Primal? No, I've never played a Far Cry game, and I've just never been interested in the franchise. Next question is, am I looking forward to Star Wars Episode 8? No, I'm not. I am not going to see Episode 8 or 9. The next Star Wars movie I'm probably going to be seeing is definitely the anthology films. After what I went through with Episode 7, I have absolutely no interest in the main storyline. Give me something new. Don't just remake the old films. I'm pretty sure that's what they're going to do with Episodes 8 and 9 anyway, so I'm going to pass. The last question comes from the next newbie of the episode, coming from, and I hope I say your name right. Your name is Nero Cisana. Oh, but I said that right. And you want to know, how do I feel about people who like Final Fantasy 13? Well, it's your opinion. Everyone has different taste in games. I know there's a lot of games that I really dislike that a lot of people really like. I hate Witcher. I hate Elder Scrolls. I hate a lot of really popular games. Heck, I openly think that The Last of Us, which is praised as the greatest PlayStation exclusive game of all time, I think that's the most overrated video game of all time. I've only played it once. I don't see the attraction. I think it's overrated. It's nothing I haven't already seen before, and I just don't think it's that great of a game. So, yeah, I know for a fact there are people that think that 13 is a good game. Why? I have no idea, but heck, I respect your opinion. Just don't ever talk to me in a positive way about 13, ever. And with that, those are all the questions that you guys sent for this episode. I'd like to thank all of you guys for making this episode possible. If you guys have any more questions you'd like me to answer in next week's episode, be sure to type it in the comments down below. But make sure you get them into me before next Wednesday before I start filming this. And like always, thank you guys for watching. You're awesome, and I will see you next time.